Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Mongo, and I'm here to give you a few big thanks on a book that I, had the chance to listen to on Audible this last week. That book is Shadow of the Conqueror by Shad M. Now, I listened to this, audiobook on Audible. If you guys are interested, you can always sign up to Audible, get a free credit if it's your first time, and you can use that to buy any book you want. Maybe even this book here. But I just want to share a few thoughts on this particular book, Shadow of the Conqueror. Now, Shad M. the author, you may be familiar with him because this specific person is known as Shadowversity on YouTube. He's a cool channel. He does a lot of historical evaluations. He does a lot of, analyses of castles and medieval weapons and science fiction and fantasy weapons as well. He has a nice little series that I enjoyed called Fantasy Rearmed, where he kind of explores, the efficiency of specific weapons with specific fantasy creatures like centaurs or angels and, those kinds of things. Very interesting channel. Good content, too. So I would, definitely check him out. I'll link it down in the description below. But to get back to the book, Shadow of the Conqueror takes place in a fictional world known as, let me see here, Shadow of the Conqueror, Chronicles of Everfall, Book 1. Takes place in the fictional content of Telos. And, I guess before I really get into the plot of the book, just the world building in this book is very interesting. Shad, he does a great job at, building a world of science fiction and fantasy, and he meshes them together along with realistic medieval combat and situations. It makes it very interesting to read and to listen to as well. Now, the book itself, we follow the story of Dalen Namarin, formerly known as Dalus the Conqueror. Now, in the continent of Telos, he was a former ruler of, the countries, various countries on Telos. And he was a very wicked ruler, very evil, And he goes into hiding after his regime has been overthrown by the United Peoples of his country and fellow neighboring countries, and the mystical order of the Arch Knights. And he goes into hiding for 20 years. And near the end of his life, he's become so old that he wants to, he decides that he wants to, end himself. And he does it in a very specific way. And that's how the story begins. That's how it all begins. Just hearing the regrets of a former, dictator, essentially, a former ruler of a country who has gone into hiding and has realized that his life has been known as a wretched thing, that he has done many wicked things, and he wants to end it all for, and not only to end it, but to erase himself from this continent. He doesn't even want his body to be found on the continent of Telos. Now, I don't want to go into any more specific details, just because, I think half the fun in, reading a book is being surprised. And needless to say, there are some great surprises. There's some great twists and turns in this book. And I think that you will really enjoy it for that. And not only that, but the amount of detail and descriptions that Shad gives for each of these, new devices, and even for like basic, fighting stances and with like swords and all that kind of thing. He describes them in a very satisfying fashion. You follow a few interesting characters in this book that each have a very surprising amount of depth in their backstories. And it's a very interesting book that brings up a lot of hard moral questions to the reader. I just finished the audiobook, and I decided, well, when I finished it, I thought, man, I got to listen to this again. And then I was thinking, well, I might as well just get the Kindle edition of this, the ebook, and, I did. And I'm going through it back again. And I have a strong thought, if you read this book and you have the patience to go through this whole book, either on audio or with a solid copy with you, then I think you're going to enjoy it. And I think you're going to be prompted to read it again. It's something interesting, it's something original, and it brings a lot of things, a lot of hard questions to your mind. What would you do in this situation? A lot of those type of things. How would you react to this? How would you deal with this problem? Lots of good things. And it's a good author who goes through the trouble of going into detail about all of these things and going into the minds of the characters. And by doing that, he makes us, the reader, or us, the listener, really think about that too. The audiobook, very excellent. Very good audiobook. You have two people reading. I don't know their names off the top of my head. Back to my point. The book is great. Definitely give this book a chance. If you want to try it for free, I would definitely encourage you guys to go onto Audible and sign up for free. Sign up is free on Audible. You get a 30-day trial, and with that 30-day trial, you get a free Audible credit. With that credit, you can buy any single book on Audible for free, unless it's, some special situation. But, let me crack my fingers here. But I would definitely recommend this book to you guys. If you love fantasy, if you love science fiction, if you love original content, then I would recommend Shadow of the Conqueror by Shad M to you guys. I don't know if this appears on the camera for you guys. And when I say camera, I say the camera of my phone. So maybe it doesn't appear for you guys. But I definitely want to recommend it to you guys. And, those have been my big thinks on this topic. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this content, please feel free to comment and subscribe. Thanks, folks. See you next time.